Well, hello, my friend, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unstoppably Creative Podcast, where I am sharing with you the expectation trap, how to stop setting yourself up for failure, frustration, and stress. Stay with me. I am so excited you have decided to stay with me because I have an incredible episode for you today talking about expectations, managing our expectations, what the heck expectations are, and giving you tools so that you can let yourself stop feeling the stress of measuring and managing and navigating your expectations. Hey, I'm Leslie Becker, Broadway actress turned business coach and speaker, and I'm excited to dive into this rather confronting conversation. Anytime we talk about expectations, it somehow brings up some challenges for people because we're taught in our society to have expectations about things, to have expectations about what marriage looks like, what a business partnership, a collaboration looks like. And what tends to happen is our expectations are not something that we actually have set up for us to succeed. It's actually been limiting us instead of moving us forward. So, what the heck are expectations? Well, some of you are not going to like this definition. Expectations are nothing more than a story you've made up about how you think something or someone should be. Now, that statement alone is very, very confronting. And so that'll give you a sense of what the rest of this is going to be, because I'm going to give you several practical ways in which you can stop managing your expectations and start reframing them in a way that allows you to stay powerful in your life. So, how do you actually stop setting yourself up for failure and frustration and stress when it comes to expectations? Well, tip number one is this: stop expecting things. Now, I know that's super confronting, and don't turn off this video. I want you to listen to what I mean. Stop expecting things to happen exactly as you want them to be. I want to ask you, how many things in your life that you had in your mind, this is exactly how this would look, how many of those actually turned out exactly as you had planned? Pretty much none of them. I don't know about your life, but my life, I could say all the expectations that I've had in my life, but very few of them have actually turned out exactly as I wanted them to be. Because here's the thing: we don't know what's going to happen. When we have an expectation of something, we have no idea what the world has in store for us. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow or even the next moment. Life is unexpected. And if we have expectations that it's going to look and feel and be exactly like this, we will always be let down. And on top of that, if we have expectation about how we think somebody should behave and that person has never behaved in that way, for us to expect them to behave that way when they've never shown us that before is absolutely foolish. It's similar to the definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Well, it is the same thing with expectations. If you have this expectation that something or someone is going to turn out a certain way and it doesn't, it's usually on you to take a look at those expectations. Now, step number two is even more confronting. In order to not have the stress and craziness of all these expectations that let you down, instead, stop managing expectations and start managing yourself. Ooh, I know that is tough to hear, right? But here's the real truth, my friend. We have no control over what other people will do. We have no control over what other people will say. We have no control over actually what happens, but we do have control over how we react to it. We cannot control if someone says something really not nice to us, but we control how we take it. We can control as to whether we let that person hurt our feelings or make us mad or make us frustrated, or we just fluff it off. See, most of us get caught up in thinking that we are right and the other person is wrong, and we want to try to fix that person. And again, this is whether you're in a relationship, in a personal relationship, a business relationship, a collaborative relationship for creative people. Anytime you are in a relationship with somebody else, there is expectation involved. So when you stop trying to manage expectations and manage yourself, it will put you in control and be able to move forward powerfully. Now, I don't know about you, but I have big expectations around the holidays, specifically around Black Friday deals. Now, for me and my family, Black Friday has always looked like getting up really early in the morning, going and standing in line in the freezing cold so that you can get those best deals in that store and battle people for that $1 poinsettia or whatever you're looking for. But my Black Friday deals, which I'm so excited to share with you, Don't require any of that. You don't have to get out of bed early. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is check out my page. I have a huge Black Friday blowout with one of the biggest sales I've ever had in my business. So check this out. My Black Friday for my business is going to be November 24th through the 28th. I am doing the biggest sale that I've ever done on a lot of my products and services. And so here's the deal. It is 5 days, 5 deals, 24 hours each. That means you are going to tune in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to see what is the special Black Friday deal that I'm offering that day. Now, if you want to be on my Black Friday VIP list, I want you to click the link below and send me your email, and I'll make sure you get on that list. Again, 5 days, 5 deals, 24 hours each, and when they're gone, they're gone. So, the third tip to stop falling into the expectation trap is to stop having expectations and start having commitments. Okay, this is a big distinction, so I want you to listen up. Expectations are something that are kind of this overarching belief that you've created in your life of how things should be. A commitment is something that you actually make to yourself, and it is something that is an ongoing commitment thing. So, take the example of a marriage. When you guys get into a marriage, it's not just about, oh, I made this commitment that I would be loyal to you. It's that every single day you continue to choose that commitment. Or somebody who chooses to get sober. They don't just say, I'm getting sober and then never have to think about that again. They make the commitment every single day to remain sober. So stop having expectations in your life and start having commitments. Now, usually commitments start obviously with yourself, the ones you have with yourself, but more importantly, when you are talking about relationships, whether that be personal, business, collaborations, whatever it is, you have to make those commitments together. You can't just expect something of somebody else and they expect something of you, but you've never actually talked about it. So, one of the biggest things is that you have to talk about what those expectations are and notice what yours are. So, this is a little exercise I want you to actually do right now in real time. And that is this: I want you to pick some relationship in your life that there's a challenge, somewhere you're stuck or you're frustrated by somebody. And I want you to just ask yourself, what is my expectation of this person? Just write that down really quickly. Don't think too hard about it, but what's the first expectation that comes into your mind? If this person is this, I expect them to do this. Hopefully, you did that really, really quickly because most of us know instantly whatever relationship we're struggling in, we go, well, I have this expectation. Here's why writing down your expectations is so important, because sometimes you don't even realize what your expectations are. We are built from society to have all these expectations that, depending on how we were raised, what our own modeling of what we saw in a business partnership or a marriage of our parents, it's all something that's been built in us. So we don't even realize we've set ourselves up for these expectations that are impossible to achieve. So once you speak them out loud, particularly to the person you're working with or in a relationship with, you speak those expectations. You can both hear yourself not only say out loud what they are, but realize these are impossible to achieve. So together, you can then make commitments to what you are actually committed to in this relationship with this person. This is an enormous distinction, my friend. So imagine this. What if currently you have a collaborator in your life, somebody that's working on a creative project with you, and you sit down at the beginning of that collaboration and actually ask the other person, what expectation do you have of me in this collaboration? And you share what yours are of that person. And you guys realize either you're so far apart that you probably shouldn't be collaborators or be in a relationship together, or you say, oh, wow, I didn't know that's what you expected. Let's talk about that. Let's make a commitment. Stop having expectations and instead have commitments. Now, I want to be clear, all of this that I'm sharing with you is not something that you just say, okay, I'm going to do these things and then I won't ever have expectations. That's a ridiculous thing to think would be true. And the reality is, this is a process and a practice. This is not something that you're instantly going to get over. You need to practice this. You need to figure out how it lives in your life. So that way you can stop being frustrated over an expectation that nobody even knew you had of that situation or of that person. So I'm going to give you 3 questions so that anytime you feel frustrated, you can ask yourself these 3 questions to see if you're frustrated because of an expectation you had that was never communicated. So question number 1 is simply asking yourself, did I have an expectation for this situation? And just write that down or answer that in your head out loud. Did I have an expectation? And once you realize you had an expectation, you will be better equipped to be able to get yourself out of that expectation and figure out how to fix it so you will no longer be frustrated. Now, the second question to ask yourself is, what story did I make up around this situation? Most of the time, our expectations, like I said, the definition of expectation is a story you've made up about how something or someone should be. So ask yourself, what story did you make up around this situation? The moment that you are able to identify that, you will always be able to move forward more powerfully. Now, the third question you have to ask yourself, and probably the most important, is, did the other person know what my expectations were, and did they verbally commit to it? Because like we shared in number 2, is if you haven't communicated that expectation and that commitment, there's really no expectation to even lean on because it's not real. It's something that you made up in your head. Okay, phew. I know I just threw a ton at you, probably a very confronting conversation. And if you are still with me, I hope that you will take what I've said today and really apply it to your life. These things that I'm telling you are things I've experienced in my own life. I've had to work through, I've had to coach my clients through these, and these have been successful. Really, my goal for you, my friend, is for you to live an incredibly powerful, engaged, joyful, light life. And if you are always bogged down by these expectations that are never able to be met, you will never have that experience of just freedom in your life. And so I hope you will take into account everything that you learned today. And if you thought this was an awesome episode and somebody needs to hear this, please click that share button. Send this on to somebody because there might be somebody in your life that really needs to hear this conversation. And don't just send it to the person who you think is having expectations of you. Send it to the people that you feel are frustrated and stuck and that you think that this conversation might help them get out of being stuck. And if you're listening to this via audio, go on over to Apple Podcasts and let me know if you like this episode, if this helped you, if you loved what you learned on this episode and how it helped you. And if you loved this episode, please hit that subscribe button so that you can be with me every week so I can help you increase your confidence, build momentum, and create wildly successful results. Whether you're on YouTube, whether you're listening on audio, just click subscribe. All right, my friend, have a great week, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week. And until then, keep living your unstoppably creative life. Bye bye. So I'm going to give you an example of expectation that's happening in real time right now. And that is, as I set up for today's video to film it, everything went wrong. I have filmed many of these videos now and I'm able to set it up easy. I'm able to record them quickly and easily. That was not the case today. This episode took me a couple hours to put together because my lighting didn't work, my recording didn't work, there was something in the microphone that was causing issues. So it took me a long time to put together this video. It's a perfect example of I could have given up and said, I'm not recording today, but this is my day to record. And I needed to make sure I could. So there's kind of a little bit funky lighting. The lighting of the day is not so great. The video might be a little bit funky, but the reality is I showed up, I'm here, I made this video happen, and I hope it helped you a lot.